and pull up myself here. So that little graphic that you saw there was thanks to the one and only King Bob over at Hobby Link International. And he's right. It's always my fault, especially when it comes to procuring new kits or doing crazy things like, for instance, making a video about a video that I'm going to be doing, things like that. That's right. Good morning, everybody. You owe Bob $2 for using that. I do. So hope everybody is doing well. Happy Monday. This is going to be a very short stream just because I have some other stuff I've got to do today. I'm trying a different position here with the camera. I realize if I wear my glasses, the halo from the little, I don't know what you call it, the light, the LED light, kind of shows in my glasses and on my pupils and makes me look possessed or whatnot. But anyways, I hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining me today. I just want to talk about a couple of things. For those of you, pretty much everybody in the community knows that Chris Cortell passed away. Unfortunately, that is classic plastic 101. And his family is selling off his kits. He had a massive stash, and it's kind of ironic because one of his last videos kind of showcased some of that stash, and it went on for a long time just because he had so many different kits and stuff. Absolutely amazing kits too, but his brother, bless him, is selling those kits to raise money for Chris's wife. And I kind of went through and picked out 3 of them that I really, really wanted. I could have bought them anywhere else probably for cheaper, but the money's going to a good cost. So I just want to kind of show those kits right now. And, again, blame me for buying more kits because that's what I do. I am working on the Sherman. As you can see here, it is on the workbench. There's some other color going on it, but definitely still have a lot to do. There's so many little tiny things to paint on this particular kit that is just insane. So let's see. We have Linda in the house. How's it going, Mom? Good to see you. Good morning, Kalan. Hope you're doing well. And you had a very good weekend. Beautiful in Port Angeles, except only 60 degrees. You know what? I will take 60 degrees any day. It's actually going to be quite cool here this week in like the 80s, which isn't terrible. At least it's not like Bob weather at 100 degrees already. So we'll be having that probably in the next couple weeks. So I'm going to, and we also have Kenny and hey, all driving and listening. Good to see you, Kenny. And also Jalen is in the house. Does watching this count as self-harm? Probably true, Jalen. Absolutely. So that being said, one of the kits I got from Chris Cortell's estate is this beautiful 1/25th scale, I believe it is. I can't read close up right now because my eyes are still dilated from the eye doctor. But this, I ended up getting this scale just because he does have, it might be sold already, but he does have the, I think it's 1/16th scale available as well, which I would love that kit. I just couldn't afford it. And this, I always loved a good charger. So I'm very happy to have this General Lee, and we'll be building this on the channel at some point, probably within the next 30 or 40 years, as you guys know. Another one that I've been wanting for a long time and just never really did pull the trigger on it, but Chris had it, so I bought it, was the Fire Chief by AMT. Now, both of these are the round 2 re-releases of these kits. But this one, you can do it as the police car as well as the Fire Chief. And it's kind of cool because I do have the van, which I got from Carl from the fire department, which we'll be doing up as one of the fire vans. So I think this would be kind of cool to go in the museum along with all the other fire vehicles that we have. And then one of my holy grail kits I managed to pick up, and I got it for, I think it's about $80, which is pretty expensive, but again, it's worth it. And it's a hard to come by kit. Well, maybe not. Depends on how many people are on eBay trying to steal your money. But the IMEX Harley Davidson Silver Special FLHR Road King. This kit, so it was all of these were still wrapped in plastic, uh, you know, totally wrapped up. And I went ahead and opened it because, of course, I'm going to build it. Uh, I've been wanting a good Harley Davidson, and this one is by far one of my favorites. The only thing I might do differently, because this is the special FLHR, it doesn't have the saddlebags on it. This kit comes with the saddlebags because they made several variations of this kit. So I'm actually going to probably build it with saddlebags and the windscreen on it, just because I like the way that looks. And if I was to ever own a Harley Davidson, I would put those on my motorcycle as well. And Melissa did inform me that this is the closest I will ever get to owning a motorcycle. So there you go. I'm really, really happy with these 3 kits that I got. And, his brother, just absolute gentleman to work with and great guy. So, he just keep in mind you're some kits you might make a good deal on, but for the most part, they're trying to raise money to help out Chris's family. So, and raise money for medical bills and things like that. So keep that in mind, and don't gripe about the prices because, he had some kits that probably aren't even available anymore either. So really cool. And I'm really honored to have these kits, and I will be building them in honor of Chris Cortell Classic Plastic 101. So that is what I got there. I'm tempted to pick up some more kits, but honestly, I need to stop spending money. So I've been reminded again, shouldn't be spending any more money on model kits until I build all of these that I've got surrounding me. So we'll be working on that. Plus, again, just a quick reminder that we do have the polls up. There's a poll up on Hobby Link International on the forum, as well as on my YouTube for the out of the box. What is it called? Out of the box Wednesdays is what I'm going to be calling it. Starts July 5th. Will be the first episode of Out of the Box Wednesdays, and you guys get to choose which kit I will be building first for that. So if you want to know what those kits are, head over to Hobby Link International. The link is in the description down below, or you can check them out on my YouTube channel. I did put up a poll for you to pick out which kit you think I should build first. And basically the general idea of that is for me to get out of my comfort zone, build a kit from start to finish straight out of the box without doing all the extra junk that I do to it, and additions, mods, things like that, just to get a build done and have fun doing it and get it done in a timely manner. Because as you know, a lot of my kits, they end up, even the simplest kit like the Sherman is taking over a year and a half or almost 2 years, I think, to build. So but just because I'm a perfectionist and things have to be perfect, and so I'm trying to break away from that a little bit and actually get some kits built from start to finish within a couple weeks, 2 to 8 weeks. And right now, I think the lead is the Tamiya Volkswagen Bug, and then I can't remember, there's a airplane kit, I believe, or no, is it there might be an airplane that's in the lead. I can't remember. I have to take a look at those. So just go ahead and head over there and check those out. So I'm going to head over to chat, see what you guys are talking about, and then we're probably going to cut this video short just because I've got some other things I need to do today before the actual rain comes, because we have rain and thunderstorms coming, and I need to mow my yard and do a couple of things and go to the gym and work out and stuff like that. So let's head up here and see what all of you are up to. And again, in case you missed it, let's head over to, there we go. I blame Kalan. Hashtag I blame Kalan is now a thing. And that will be from now on, I will be hashtagging that in probably all of my videos, just because Bob and the guys over on the HobbyLink International community like to blame me for just about everything, which, fair enough. They deserve that, or I deserve that, I guess you could say. Let's see. So there was Jalen. Hope Kalan doesn't make Kenny crash. Now, I hope so too. I don't know. He usually tunes me out. So Dirk said, I almost missed this. There was no video announcing a video that would lead to a video telling us this was happening. I apologize, Dirk. I know I need to make a short about the video of a video explaining the video that I will be making a video of. There you go. So, and if none of you, if you have no idea what that is about, then you obviously don't follow the channel very well. So, that 1/16 kit is over $100. I think I'm going to sell mine. I might buy it. I really want it, but I can't justify spending that kind of money on that. Besides, I have this beautiful charger here that I'll build up. And for Joe, if Joe ever watches this video from Mad Genius Productions, I will go ahead and paint it orange and not red, just so you know, not Coast Guard red. So let's see. Motorcycle kits usually come with a high price tag. Not sure why, but they all do. You know what, Dirk? I've noticed that, but the nice thing is almost every single motorcycle kit I build, I think maybe it's because the modelers that actually build them possibly are just amazing, because they always look so legit and so 100% real. And I don't know if it's the kit or the modeler, or could be both. So this is one I will be taking my time with to make sure it looks absolutely beautiful when it's done. Tamia has a bunch for cheap. Motorcycle kits are expensive for some dumb reason. Kaylin, quick, someone is poking around your truck. Nah, probably. I don't know. But no. My dogs are, however, I don't know what Holly's doing. I don't want to know. She's been a little turd lately. She does not like it when we leave. She just goes nuts now. I think it's because I've been home so much from recovering from my surgery. Same guy from last week, Dirk. Katinga. Oh, that reminds me. I got Steve sent from Cult TV Man sent me a reminder. I need to get, I don't think it's the Katinga, but it's the 1350 bird of prey or something I have to get. All of the Quartel kits have a bit of a price padding, but in this case, it's for a good cause. Absolutely right. Absolutely. Yeah, Bob is going to yell at you again. Yeah, Bob, but Bob is the king, so he is allowed to do that. Speaking of which, Chris, well, I don't know how that has King Bob has anything to do with this, but I will get your package in the mail today. So you can be looking forward to that. I'll try to send you the tracking number over on the Discord later on today. As soon as I get that, I just have to take it to the post office. So I'll get that to you later today. Why are we watching a tree? That's not a tree. That is my wisteria. That is, so I planted it 4 years ago, and it was itty bitty, this little tiny plant. And all of a sudden, it just hasn't really been doing much until this year. It just went boom. And so I have to get something, I have to build. Initially, what my wife and I are going to do is take out this wall, and then we're going to put in a patio. But I need to build a trellis for the wisteria to climb, and I need to do it sooner than later because it needs to start climbing on something, because right now it's going crazy and it has nothing to climb on. And they like to climb on stuff. So they are very destructive plants. So a lot of it's going to be made out of steel and very, very like heavy wood. So I will be building it out of like the posts are going to be 6x6s, pressure treated. And then there will be steel reinforced beams going across for it to climb on. Because otherwise, over time, the wisteria will just tear wood apart. A lot of people will put it on a trellis or like that trellis material, and that trellis material just gets torn to shreds. Um, Grapevines will do the same thing, but wisteria are extremely destructive. But I love that plant, and the reason I planted it was because when we initially moved in, I took one out, and the bumblebees loved it. Well, they were ever since we took it out, they haven't been back. So I planted a new one, and eventually it'll start blooming. But it's looking like I don't know. Melissa uses the dog water to water it, and I need to water it more often than not. But it also it wants something to climb on, and right now it's getting wind beaten. But I don't know, but it's making noises. There's that tree again. You're gonna see a lot of the tree. The wisteria actually sets the camera off because of the motion. So once I get something for it to climb on, it shouldn't do that as much. Maybe it's the tree that was creeping around. He's going to do a video to let you know the video is over. That's an idea. Don't tempt me. Dirk was saying, you know what he could do is leave this street live stream going and we can watch him cut his lawn on the cameras. You could actually, I could just focus it on the cameras and then you'd know. So kind of a funny thing too is so the street that I live on, Melissa and I used to watch the On Patrol Live all the time. And so there's a lot of like we live on a pretty quiet street, but for the most part, occasionally we get transients and stuff that walk down here, and they were stealing stuff and this and that. And so we ended up naming it Pine Street Live, which is the name of our street. So the main camera looking at my truck right now is called Pine Street Live, and then the others are just like driveway, garage, all that stuff. That's the carport where Holly spends quite a bit of her afternoon just waiting for us to come love on her and let her back in. It only 8 hours of cutting grass. It only takes me 5 to 8 minutes to cut my front lawn. As you can see, the backyard has no grass. Eventually it will. We will, we're working on that. That's because I've been out for my surgery. Like we haven't gotten anything done in the backyard except for putting in the dog area right there, which they seem to really enjoy that fake grass. So I don't, and Melissa, she likes it, but the maintenance of it's fairly easy. You actually have to vacuum it. It would be as interesting as Kenny's Let's Go to Walmart live stream. And Bob said, no spending. That's right. Listen to Bob. The kids are pretty detailed, or the kits are pretty detailed. And we have Hobby Time in the house. How's it going? Hi, guys. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. This is a short video. Of course, well, if I keep going through chat, it's going to end up being longer. And you guys like to talk. So, and Scale Model Muse is in the house. It's good to see you. I actually want to discuss something with you real quick, just because Kenny had a problem with his paint on the cauldron bubbling up. And I was thinking about it last night, and I believe that you had told me at one point using like mixing different paints, if you don't seal in between them, you can have that issue with the paint either bubbling or sloughing off, or some kind of a reaction if you're using different paints. So I was meaning to ask Kenny, did you use different brands of paint and try different brands on top of each other, or were you using the exact same paints and that issue happened? Because Marcy has actually talked about this before in different chats, as well as I think on her channel. in regards to different paints and stuff like that. So I was wondering maybe, Kenny, if that was what was happened, if it was like a different reaction from different types of paint, or if there's something else going on, maybe with the thinner that you're using or something like that. So yeah, the tree moved. I saw it. It moved. If it starts walking across the yard, that's what scares me because they, if it gets up and moves, that's gonna be like the Wizard of Oz when the trees started moving. Oh yeah, your Arizona security for Chris. That's debatable, Bob. Um, the roots were doing what roots do. Get that thing a trellis before it eats the house. Exactly. And it will, if you allow them to, so you can kind of guide them to where you want them to go. But if you allow them to go into the eaves of your house, it'll start splitting your wood and your trellises and your house apart. Or not trellises, your eaves and stuff like that. So you don't want to allow them to enter the house because they'll even bust apart concrete. That's how crazy strong wisterias are. But there are some beautiful wisteria, like up in Jacksonville, Oregon. One of the largest ones is in a restaurant, and it actually covers like their whole restaurant area for the outside. Beautiful tree, and the thing is massive, and it's really cool. Really do like it. So Kenny's saying, okay, back at the shop and no worries of crashing the Jeep. Good. So are you all done with your vehicle maintenance, or do you have to take the next one in? No grass, taking lessons from Kenny on how to treat the environment. That's yeah. So no, I still have my big trees in my backyard. I did have to cut a little one down. And Ross is in the house. Scale Model Ninja. Hi, all, and Kalan. Good to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. And Ben was saying, I've had Vallejo lift off before, even after priming and all that. No kidding. I think Kenny mostly uses Tamiya, but I'm not entirely sure what he's using on the Witch. Kenny crossed the streams. Blaine licked it. Probably. Probably Chris. Oh, man. Kenny said, first time I ever had the problem with Mr. Surfacer 1000 with Vallejo Game Air. See, I don't use Game Air, Vallejo Air. Just I don't know. I avoid. Sorry, I don't know how you say it. I say Vallejo, so shoot me if it's wrong. It's Vallejo or whatever you guys call it. Game Air over it. Sealed the Vallejo with Mr. Super Clear. Same thing I do on every build. This time it didn't want to play nice. That's really interesting. I wonder, they could have also changed the formulas. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of stick to what I know too. But then and Mr. Surfacer, I've never had an issue with it, and a lot of guys haven't. So who knows? Who knows what happened? That's crazy. I mean, it could be a simple thing is like maybe you had some grease on your finger, but I know you usually wear gloves when you're painting like I do. So I don't know. I had Muse was saying I had wisteria at the old house. Love it. Yeah, and you know what? The bees absolutely love it. The bumblebees, they were they were all over our yard when we had it. And then really the only other thing that we have like that sticks around like that is some flowers up front and the roses. And they, they didn't hang out as much as they used to when I cut down the old wisteria. So once this one starts flowering, which should be next year, then I think the bumblebees will come back. And Kenny was saying all of his vehicle maintenance is done. If you had Mr. Surfacer lift off, I would think your part had some crap on it. Yeah, and he had just gotten that. He had taken that out of the purple bath, but again, the paint had been on there for a while, at least a week, hadn't it? So yeah, that's interesting. Kenny's saying that's what I'm thinking. Chris may not have cleaned the print well enough. I see. Oh, it's jumping. So yep, I think so too. Resin needs a good scrub. See, this is all good information for me when I bring my 3D printer home and start printing. So the yao closest correct speak. The, yeah, the yaho. I don't know. I for some reason I cannot ever seem to get it right. It's like poche or whatever. They think that's how it's pronounced. But Ron Calverley did he is the king. He called up the company to get and waited for them to answer the phone to get the proper pronunciation. And I can't remember how they pronounced it, but Ron Calverley is like a genius. Like I love watching his channel. And that's what he did. He just called up the company, and when they answered, he said, "Okay, thanks," and hung up. And he said, "Well, that's how you pronounce their name." Truck tree. Lots of books or nooks and crannies in the skull's eyes. And Mr. Products never change anything. Yeah, see, they don't. But the thing is I'm wondering if the Yeho, if they do. The one of my all-time favorite paints, and you guys, if you watch the video, you know the airbrush video. Uh, One of my new favorites is All Clad 2, and that's like ever since I think it was like about a year and a half ago I started using them, and I use them all the time now just because they're one of my go-to favorites. Uh, but now they're owned by Ammo by MIG, and I'm concerned that Ammo is either going to drop the line altogether or they're going to change something, and that will make me so mad if they change anything. Or what will really make me mad is if they drop the All Clad 2 line altogether, because the All Clad 2 lockers by far my favorite. I love them. I mean, you're limited to it because they're mostly metals, but you also have Mr. Color lacquers, which I have yet to use those, but I'm going to probably start transitioning. I have a couple of their lacquers, and I have used them, but I might start transitioning. I really do love the Tamiya paints, the acrylics, but I feel like they have some limitations as well. I do, and unlike Kenny, I like hand brushing with Tamiya, and the big thing that has made our Tamiya paints really great for hand brushing is using the Tamiya paint retarder. And they only say to put in like 2%. I do a little bit more than that and then put it on my palette. And I try to keep that as wet as possible whenever I can. But as long as I do a little bit extra, don't put too much though. But as long as I put kind of blend it really well, it does great for dry brushing. But it also does really good for just hand brushing paints, because what it's allowing to do, you want to put it on sometimes a little bit thick, and then the paint retarder will just kind of allow it to self level. I haven't tried putting Mr. Color leveling thinner into hand brush paints just because I think it would dry up a lot faster. I don't know. It might work just fine, but I do use that. I have hand brushed a little bit when I have a pre-mixed bottle. I don't see one. Here we go. So this is pre-mixed. This is already has the 50/50 T400, the Mr. Color leveling thinner. This already has a 50/50 blend in it. And so I did have to do some touch up on the Sherman, and I didn't like how it laid out, as opposed to how if I had to use this, it would have blended in perfectly whenever I'm hand brushing with the Tamiya. So I have been playing a little bit with some of the Viejo. I'll try to say it right for you guys and train myself to say it correctly. The Viejo, as well as some of the Ammo by So I have some ammo by MIG, and then also the life color paints, which I really like those life color paints. And Chris K turned me on to those. Uh, but I haven't done a lot of hand brushing with those yet. I still have to experiment a little bit on the Bismarck with those. And then I was going to use them on the Tacom Saxon class frigate, as well as I have the new USS New Orleans that I'm doing. You guys haven't, you guys have seen that one because I'm pretty sure I did that on a live stream back in the day. So anyways, yeah, this short live stream is turning into a long one. The hobby isn't perfect unless you watch YouTube videos. Yeah, just don't watch mine because I don't know. Bob said he learned something from mine. So there you go. I guess I'm doing something right. Someday I will make YouTube videos. Chris, you do you, because your videos are flippin' hilarious and by far the most entertaining to watch. So we appreciate you, Chris. Sometimes improper storage affects supplies too, and also older paints. You can end up my paints sit around for years, but that's all of us. Ross was saying you will always have issues if you try using Vallejo on top of Tamiya, which I'm pretty positive Marcy has said that too. It has something to do with the ingredients. They never play well together. So 100%. So I've avoided that, or what Scale Model Muse was telling me what to do was to put, or if you do use the Tamiya or vice versa, then you clear coat it and then you put the next one on, and usually that can help with any issues. Maybe not all the time, but yeah. She's saying it's like the bare metal foil issues. I've never had problems with it. Really? That's crazy. So yeah, I hear people complain about bare metal foil all the time, and like, I don't know, like I haven't used it enough. I've used it in a couple of applications and I really liked it. So that's good to hear. I'm glad somebody else does too. Jalen bought some special gloves. I cannot wait to see these special gloves. By the way, Jalen managed to use a skill saw and survive. So congratulations. That was the coolest picture, though, by the way, of you out there working on. I'm assuming it's part of the garden project that you're working on. Really cool stuff that she's been sharing over on Facebook. I don't get on Facebook hardly at all. And when I do, I get yelled at by Bob for posting too much because I'm trying to get caught up. So speaking of Bob, where's the damn white glove he keeps advertising? I don't even, these are kind of white, not really. But my white gloves are in a drawer somewhere because I was cleaning. One of these days, you guys will actually see it when I finish a model. I have that too. He's never owned white gloves. I do. You guys just don't see them. I also wear them whenever I'm sanding because they'll collect a lot of the dust as well. And they don't stay white for very long. He scratched somewhere he shouldn't. Bob is now a brown glove. Oh my gosh. Or the hamburger helper. I mean, if you're going to use their logo, we should at least be fed. One thing that with Japanese products, if it's not broke, they won't try to fix it. Ben saying he loves Mr. Color. He's had great luck with them. Yeah, and do you use both the acrylic and the lacquer, or just the lacquer, Mr. Color, Ben? I can't remember. You always have good luck though. So as far as we could see, very rarely have I had to see you start over with a paint job. But you also have some really cool tricks up your sleeve. So Did they buy or just rebrand? Ammo by Mig one shot primer is just Stynylrez relabeled. So, Stynylrez I don't really use too much anymore. I'll use it on certain applications, like if I have uh like a primer that I know is going to be really like the surface area is already really smooth and doesn't need any sanding. I'll use Stynylrez because you can't sand that crap off. That stuff is permanent, like, and it's a pain in the butt. It screws up my airbrush all the time. Um, I always have tip dry issues with it, and it's like you can't get around it. Viejo, I don't really use that primer anymore either. But ever since Lewis turned me on to the Mr. Surfacer, like, yeah, I don't use anything other than Mr. Surfacer now. Uh, but yeah, I'm curious if they just rebranded. Maybe I don't know. Um, I'd have to look into that. But ever since Ammo by Mig has taken over, it's harder and harder to find certain all clads, like the all clad twos and stuff. It's harder to find them. Either they're just not putting them out, or companies are still in the transition period. So yeah, Stynylrez gets around just like 2K. Let's see. Don't forget environment. Environment is 100% one of the biggest variables when it comes to airbrushing or even painting. It really changes things. So experiment and adjust to your needs. Very true, Marcy. Very true. Oh my gosh, just use craft paints only. I never have any issues. Or you could just use the what's it called? Oh, I'm drawing a blank here. The rattle can Rust-Oleum. There you go. Joe's favorite. Just rattle can that thing. Yeah, the craft paints do a very do they do you do a very good job on certain things, especially like I like using them for interiors and stuff. I have some. I mean, a lot of these are pretty old. These were my wife's back when she was painting quite a bit, when she was doing miniatures and things like that. Um, and to be honest, a lot of them I just revived with water and they just popped right back. But yeah, Muse uses those too, and they do work. I mean, it's I just don't know about airbrushing them. I haven't tried that. A lot of people will just hand brush them, and they do look nice on interior stuff. I wouldn't use it. Well, me personally, I wouldn't use it for the exterior of an airplane or a car. You might get away with a boat. Tamiya is always good, and I'm going to try AK Real Colors next. Those, I know people have tried those here in the chat. I haven't tried the Real Colors. There was a discussion about the AK Real Colors earlier this week, and I can't remember the outcome of that. I think that was on Discord. Jalen saying, unless it's old, craft paints. You know the number on the leveling thinner bottle 400 is the size of the bottle, not a mixed number. Okay, fine. You're right. It's probably why the my bottle of I'd say just the regular thinner is 400 too. So whatever. I just call it that. Leave me alone. No, that's true. I think I did know that. I just like to show my ignorance sometimes because I'm not that smart. Um, Chris deserves an Emmy or whatever. I've used ancient paints with no problems. Yeah. And Chris, I deserve a chippy. Yes, what's the base? Water, oil, lacquer, etc. Got to strain very well. Yeah, I've tried straining and I've ruined a few strainers just because I'm terrible at cleaning them. But that's a good point. It is the Viejo. You have to strain that because you'll get chunks in it. I had a sheet of foil I found with a price tag from over 15 years ago, and it worked fine. Really? I have a lot of the foil, and some of it's probably pretty old. But then I also have some of the newer stuff. I don't see a difference. I see no difference. Um, see now that was new. See now that was new. Why is the camera on the dog's butt? I was actually watching Ben's video when this came up. Now I feel bad. I need to actually go and watch Ben's latest video as well. See, I think actually I'm all caught up with Joe, so I need to get caught up with Ben. Ben's videos I actually sometimes take notes. so yeah. I've learned a lot from his videos, but yeah. Um I need to get caught up. I'm so far behind. I was trying to get caught up on Ron because I was like 8 months behind on Ron Calverley's videos. And some people like him, some don't. I like Ron because he's just fun to watch, and he's been doing some other stuff like riding a bike, his e-bike and stuff. And to me, that's interesting. And he does some woodworking, and I love woodworking. So the wisteria keeps moving and it's freaking you out. It's waving at you, Chris. Do you shoot Mr. Surfacer straight out of the bottle, or is it a mix? My Mr. Surfacer, I mix it. Um, so I have like 8 or so different bottles. This is the 1500 gray that I use probably the most, and I always mix it 50-50. I don't know what other people do, but that's what works for me. And I don't ever keep any of the leveling thinner in the jar. I always mix it and then put it in my airbrush. But I've also hand painted this on, and when I hand paint it, I do it straight out of the bottle. Just because a lot of times, if I'm doing that, that means I'm trying. So I'll speak into the microphone. But if I'm doing it straight out of the bottle, that's usually in hand brushing it. That's because I'm trying to fill something, and it does a good job at filling stuff. So sometimes you'll have to do several different coats though. Uh, Ben was saying I better stock up on Mural Clad too. Yeah, I freaking love that stuff, and I have a couple of builds coming up that are going to be the bare metal aircraft, and I'm torn. I know I can do a good job with the All Clad 2 on it. I just watched Genesis do a couple of builds where she used the actual tin foil. She took that really thin Walmart brand tin foil and did a beautiful job. Now, granted, it was very time consuming, and she's a genius when it comes to building and doing stuff, but she managed to do the entire aircraft with tinfoil, and it looked beautiful in the end. And the panels were brilliant, everything. And I don't know how she does it, but I want to try that someday. And I think you had talked about possibly trying that one day, but oh my gosh, it's just amazing when it's done. And I could see how you could easily screw that up though. But with the All Clad 2, like with their chromes, like I mean, I love how they lay down. I love how they look in the end. And it's really easy to screw up. It's a little temperamental, but if you do it right, it looks beautiful. And the best chrome you can do to anything is with the All Clad, as far as I'm concerned. Need to switch to fully to Mr. Color. My primers are Tamiya here, all rattle cans. No major issues. Anything bad was user error on my part. I've been using the rattle can Tamiyas lately as well. In fact, oh, it's all the way over here. Just a second. The Enterprise is getting, this was all Tamiya rattle can, and I was actually really impressed with it. So I will be using the Tamiya rattle cans. I know Kenny uses the Mr. Color rattle can primers, and people swear by those. So mix, yeah, Dirk, he's explained it to Dirk, the 50/50 with leveling thinner. And the leveling thinner, Mr. Color leveling thinner, which is the uh, unicorn tears, as some of us call it, is just, there's a reason it's called that. It's amazing. I have had zero issues with it. All right, take care, Jalen. That was probably an hour ago. I use craft acrylics almost 100% of the time. I'm so far behind chat. Sorry, guys. And this is going to end up being an hour-long video anyway. So the AK real colors are supposed to be equivalent to Tamiya paint. That's interesting. As far as the Tamiya acrylics, interesting. I don't know. I've heard some people have issues with them, but again, it's hit or miss. It depends on the person. So yeah, I already have so many different kinds of paints already that I just don't need. It's like Chris says, you don't, you always have like 20 of one color, but then you need a different color for something else, or you just don't have the paint that you need. Or why keep buying different brands of paints, and then you end up with like 20 different brands when it's I try to stick with one or the other, but I know it, like, I mean, even me, I have 5 different brands of paint. I have the Tamiya, well, 6 if you include the craft paint. So that, to me, that already seems excessive, unless you're Barbados Rex and he's the king of paint. So, and I should probably listen to him more when it comes to what brands he recommends. But was a video put out that this video was going to be longer than expected? You were, or Chris was in charge of the pre videos. I agree, Marcy. Some of the Tamiya is over 20 years old and still good. I found an old box of stuff when I was cleaning closets. Forgot I had it. Had to toss 2 paint bottles. The rest is fine so far. Nice. It's funny. So when I went through my wife's old paints, she had a lot of Citadel paints because she did the miniature. What, I don't know what they are. Warhammer, whatever. Maybe I don't even know what she was painting. They were little tiny miniatures, like itty bitty guys, and then some like that big. But she used a lot of the crop paints. About 99% of the crop paints were good. Of the Citadel paints, which were the same age, most of those were bad. I had to throw them away. They had completely dried up. I had tried to revive them, and no matter what I did, I just could not revive them. And so the majority of those went to the trash, except for their washes. The washes, of course, all are great. And I actually have those somewhere. I don't know. They're in a bin somewhere. And I've used a couple of them on different things, like I think on the Bismarck and a couple other aircraft that I was working on. Rattle can for me with Mr. Surfacer, I'm too lazy to mix. No doubt. I was like, bonus. And don't worry, just looked up. MIG did not buy All Clad. They just have a partnership and relabeling. Thank goodness. I've never tried foil like that. Yeah, I think you have mentioned Genesis in the past, so I think you know who she is. Genesis with a J. So yeah, if you haven't looked at her videos, check them out, because that would be the ultimate challenge. And that would be something I would be willing to challenge myself, you and Joe, to doing a foil off at some point, not anytime soon, but in the future, because that would be pretty epic and quite the challenge. And she makes it look so simple. Genesis made it look so simple, but it's not, and she'll admit it's not. She screwed it up in the past, but then she was able to fix it and just make it look absolutely amazing. So let's see, I've seen people use dollar store foil or the silver tape. It's crazy nice, but yeah, very time consuming. All Clad is just awesome. If you have not used All Clad 2 paints and you can handle lacquer smells and they don't bother you, try them out. 100%. I mean, they are a bit expensive, but they totally worth it. RE Truck Models is in the house. Hey, Kalan, sorry a bit late. No worries, buddy. Good to have you in, and welcome. I'm actually probably going to be getting off as soon as I get caught up to chat here. But good discussion today, actually. Very good discussion. I've got enough paint to fill an Olympic-sized pool twice. I do not. I do not doubt that for one bit, because it's easy to do. I remember when I first started, I bought literally every single Tamiya there was, and I use a lot. I actually use Tamiya all the time for the most part, and I've gone through the majority of it, but there are some colors that I haven't even opened, and so there's a few. Like, I only use some of the grays. I don't know why I bought every single gray, and when I got them, I got 2 of each. So and then the life color, I'd like to expand my life colors, because those are really fun, especially for ships. So probably by far one of the better for ships and aircraft. I'd say they do pretty good on aircraft too. Chris says, I blame Kalan for all of this. Very good. And just for you, I blame Kalan. And every time I show that, I owe Bob Bruce $2. And you can buy your here's another $2. And you can buy your I Blame Kalan poster at Hobby Link International. Someday, maybe. See, I have become used to scale 75 for figures, waiting on their new drop paint, no more mixing. See, I have yet to have even explored scale 75. Learn color theory and how to mix paints. There's no limit to colors you can make. So true. Just be sure to do small samples to see what works or not. That is so true. And that's kind of what I did with the decks of the Bismarck when I was first experimenting with the decks of the Agora Models Bismarck. And the decks turned out really nice, but I forgot what colors I mixed because I didn't write it down at the time. So guess what? I have to go back and I actually have all of the samples. They're in my drawer over here in little tiny containers. So I have to go back and try to figure out exactly what colors I was mixing to kind of make it, see if I can match them, because I still have half the decks to do. When I restart the Bismarck, I just have to wait till I go back to work so I can afford to get it, because it's like $160 a month. So and I'm about halfway through it, I think. Tamiya paint is never bad if you have thinner and a Badger stirrer. I don't know. I don't use my Badger stirrer very much because it annoys me, because where is, it's somewhere around here. I don't know. It's in a box somewhere, probably. Yeah. I don't know, but Chris knows what I'm talking about. Oh, here it is. It's on the workbench. Yeah. Watch. So you're supposed to push up. Oh, now it won't do it. Sometimes when you just barely even push the button, it turns on. And you're supposed to be able to go you're supposed to push it all the way up, but sometimes, and it won't do it now, but sometimes you just barely accidentally hit the button and it'll start up, and it drives me nuts. So I don't use it very often, but It is good. It is a good thing. I want to get a vibrator, kind of like Kenny got. Um, it's a very odd looking vibrator, but it works. Tamiya or Humbrol is all I can get locally. Price is double for everything else with postage. Yeah, for you, that's very true. Humbrol, a lot of people swear by Humbrol and really like the Humbrol paints. Just like there's those people that swear by the Revell paints as well. So, um, but I don't know. I've heard good things about Humbrol, and I'm assuming their brand has pretty much stayed consistent for the most part. And a lot of foreign countries really do like those Humbrol paints. Once Citadel is dead, it's dead. It's the stupid paint pots. Even if clean and sealed, they fail. Yeah, that's the. I wish I had some nearby me. I don't know where I put them. Uh, but yeah, they dried up, and there was no, like, nothing you could do to bring those back. It's like it dried in a big ring at the bottom, and it was just a solid chunk. There was nothing you could put in that. You couldn't even put acetone in there to try to bring it back. It was crazy. Ben was saying, my girlfriend had a bunch of Citadel paints, and I've used a few, no complaints for figures. Used it on my T70 Pilot and R4 unit. That's, yeah. And my wife, she would swear by Citadel paint. In fact, she's told me I could buy some because she really did enjoy them. And she doesn't know anything about these, like the Tamiya paints and all those. But she said for doing figures and stuff, when I start doing 3D printing and figures, she thinks like those would be the best option to go with. Muse likes Humbrol, but they smell bad. Do they really? I wanted to get some Humbrol paints because I build a lot of Heller, and Heller almost always recommends the Humbrol paint, and I've wanted to get some just to try it, but I didn't know it smelled. That's crazy. Ben was saying he'd try that. That would be awesome. Yeah, one of these days here in the. So I don't know if you know, but um, I have a couple of different builds that I have for the out of the box speed builds, but there's probably wouldn't do it for anything like that. But there is something that Ben had sent me, and I can't remember. I need to look at it. It is the Ben. But so Ben sent me the FW190A2. So this obviously wouldn't be a candidate for that, but this is the one that sorry, not Ben. This is the one that Joe sent me. So Joe sent me this aircraft. Um, and Joe likes to build, and so do you sometimes, Ben, but you guys like to build the Soviet aircraft. And for something Joe was doing, I ended up getting I think it's a MiG something or other. And it has that metallic finish on it. So I was thinking about doing the metal finish on that one and trying the foil finish with it. So that one might be a good candidate, and maybe in like a year or two, the three of us can decide to finally do kind of like a buddy build and do the foil off and see how that works. I don't know. It might annoy Joe too much for him to want to finish it, but we'll see. I'll talk to him a little bit more, or you can, and we'll see what happens. But we can plan that way down the road because that one is going to be a little bit time consuming. And I think I think a MiG would be perfect for that. Anyways. See, I've used All-Clad on my last few NMF aircraft. Yeah, I remember you using All-Clad for the last one that I saw you do. The go-to for that. Yeah, definitely. I own almost the entire lineup of Alclad 2. And the chromes, there's a couple of different chromes that I burn through those. Like I wish I could buy it by the gallon, because I always end up getting the four. These are two. Sorry, my eyes are still dilated. I think these are the 2 ml bottles. I do get the 4 and the 6 ml, and I can't remember. I think that was like the biggest. SprayGunner sometimes will let you get it even uh, in like an even larger bottle, but very rarely, and it's hard to find. So I burn through that chrome because I love it. Good stuff. I've actually used that on a bunch of different builds. Once I get a paint booth, I can mess with other paints besides acrylic. That's so true. And speaking of paint booths, Chris K has probably the best paint booth I've seen so far. I can't remember the brand of it. I have it saved somewhere because eventually I'm planning on hopefully getting one, because we're changing some stuff here in the hobby room to make room for a 3D printer. I have several full lines of gamer paints. It's a problem. Bob Bruce said, "Pay up. You're wearing the same shirt as your poster. Take a shower." This is one of my favorite go-to shirts. Leave me alone. Hey, Kayla. And besides, that was a week ago, so it's clean. And I showered this morning. So there. Modeler X saying, "Hey, Kaylin, how's it going? Good to see you." Very, very good to see you, Scott. And I keep a recipe book of paint combos. See, that's smart. Kenny usually would always recommend to write stuff down. And I started doing that. And I apparently didn't get the memo quite before I started the Bismarck. So Bismarck was kind of one of those that I didn't write anything down when I was doing it, and so I'm kind of paying the price for that now. Simple method, drop count. Yeah, I'm a fan of the drop count. I use a few different things for that. Maybe one of these days I'll kind of go through that and show. I use pipettes, but I also use a cocktail stick. Whenever I'm mixing paint for hand brushing, I always use a cocktail stick. Never shake paints for airbrush. Oh, that's a good, interesting. See, another tidbit that we might all learn from the great and mighty Marcy. She said, always stir, never shake paints for airbrush. So that is very, very smart. Buy it in pink. The paint shaker. Humbrol has been around for ages. Yeah, they've been around for a long time. In fact, I have a couple of old like Heller kits from probably the 60s or 70s. I can't remember. And even then they were recommending Humbrol. I mean, I don't know exactly how old they are, but my dad used to use Humbrol when he was a kid. That's insane. Yeah, Humbrol, I would like to try them. A lot of people have said good things about them. Citadel is the most expensive choice in acrylics. Heller, you're a brave soul. I like the Heller, some of the Heller ship models. I don't know why. And then I do have some of their car models, just because I think I enjoy punishment. But sometimes their kits aren't too bad. Someone gave me a Heller kit, took one look at it, and nope, it'll never leave the box. Which one is it? I have a Bentley that probably will never leave the box, because that one, I have another Bentley that's a different brand that's going to be build up. I think it's Italeri, which isn't much better, but it's better than Heller. That Heller kit is going to take some time and a lot of Bondo. So, Gut Fuels Model Car Garage is in the house. How's it going? Thanks for joining in. And fragile plastic, crap instructions, exactly. And terrible fit. Uh, like I said, a lot of Bondo and sanding. Humbrol seems to be popular overseas. It was also the paint Airfix included in their starter kits. Oh, that's true. Ben was saying, I was thinking about my Shinden. Nice. I saw a scheme that had the NMF panels, so might be a good intro. Natural metal foil. I can't remember. Is it foil? The NMF natural metal foil panels. So it might be a good intro. That would be interesting. I'll have to look up the Shinden. Ooh, ooh, Japanese, right? That would be cool. And Ian Campbell's in the house. Hey, Kalan, hope all is well, mate. Good to see you, Ian. Hope you're doing well. And thank you for popping in. It's good to see you, buddy. Humbrol and Airfix are the same company now. That's what I thought. I thought because the factories are in the same building now, even I believe. So they worked together. We're gonna have to wrap this up here pretty soon. Looks like we are coming to an end of the chat. So let's see. Got Fuels Model Car Garage. Yeah, I have a Pace, but boy, he was gone way up in price. Oh, wait, did I skip a bunch of chat? I must have. Pace Enterprises. And then, yeah, I have a Pace, but boy, has gone way up in price. Shakes make bubbles, is what Marcy was saying. Yeah, shaking it does make bubbles. I tend to shake it and let it sit, but yeah, that's a good point when you brought that up about airbrushing. So maybe if I try stirring it, things will be a little bit better, especially when it comes to like the Viejo and things like that. We need the Dave Chappelle wrap it up box. Yeah, I know. I'm wrapping it up. You guys did good in chat. So it's a plane. Forget what one. It's old. That's all I recall. Okay. Yeah, I've never built an actual Heller airplane. Pretty much avoided those all along, but so I have a couple other car kits, as well as what was it? A couple other ships. I have a couple ships as well, and those are ones that yeah, they're just going to take some time, and as long as you just don't admit that it's Heller, in the end, because nobody will believe you. Or you could just tell them it's Heller and throw it together, and if it looks like crap, then there you go. But yeah, anyways, it's been well over an hour. This was going to be a much shorter live stream, so now I need to go beat the thunderstorms and go mow the front yard, which will only take a few minutes. But anyways, I do want to tell you guys, if you haven't been over to Hobby Link International, make sure you head over there. You can also see a link on Hobby Link International's forum for Chris Cortell's estate sale, and where you can pick up models like the ones that I picked up for the estate to help out his wife and everybody in the family when it comes to dealing with Chris Cortell's medical bills and as well as his funeral costs and things like that. So I picked up this kit again, one of my Holy Grail kits. So happy to have it from Chris Cortell's estate. And you can check out the website. There is a link to it on Hobby Link International on the forum, and you can head over to the community forum and look for that. And head over, pick out which ones you want. There's a little icon that you click on, and then you send his brother a link to the ones that you want that you're interested in, and if your first come first serve basis, if they're available. And again, just remember the prices might be a bit steep or what you'd pay full price for them, but it's going to a good cause. So with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining me on this Monday afternoon, morning, whatever it is for you, evening. And I guess that's pretty much it for me, and I'll see you guys next time. So, what did Ben say? Hold on. Mike Cortell, yeah. Mike Cortell does a very amazing job packaging the kits for shipping, and his shipping costs are very, very reasonable. And Ben was saying, glad I had a day off. Good to jump in with y'all. Yeah, it's good to have a day off. So congrats to you. It is. I keep forgetting it's Juneteenth, so all the banks are closed. So but then there are people like Chris that have to go to work, and then my wife had to go to work even though she works for the state or for the city, which I thought was interesting, but it is what it is. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Let's see if I can find the outro here. It's been a while since I've done this. All right, bye.